Okay, we'll jump right into trying to understand parabolas. So we'll begin with the definition. So what is a parabola? So a parabola is a set of all points x comma y, which are equidistant. So equidistant means they are all the same distance. The distance in between these points is the same. So they are equidistant from a fixed point. Equidistant from a fixed point. A fixed point called the focus. This fixed point is called the focus. And a fixed line. A fixed line called the directrix. Called the directrix. Directrix. Okay. So this is what a parabola is. Then the midpoint between the focus and the directrix is called the vertex. Between the focus and the directrix is called the vertex. Okay, so let us have a graphical picture of what we are talking about. So what we are saying is, okay, let me erase this to make more space. Um, so what we are saying is, okay, let me draw my xy plane there. So okay, so this is my y, this is my x. So a parabola is just a set of equal points. It's just a set of points x and y that are equidistant from the focus. So a parabola looks something like this. Let me draw it. Okay, so this is a parabola. So this is a parabola. Then it's saying a set of all points that are equal distance or equidistant from a fixed point called the focus. So the focus is here. Let's say our focus is there. Okay, that's our focus. Then our focus will be represented by, so this is 0 comma c. So c is just, this is just any point, what's this, any point in y, any rise in y, that's c there. Then we have our directrix. So our directrix is there. So this is our directrix, that line there. This line D is our directrix. Then we are saying a parabola. So this shape here that we are seeing, this parabola here, is just a set of what, of equal points x comma y. So at any of these points, here, there, I know I'll just have some x comma y what value, because what is making up this point here? So I have an x here and I have what? I have a y there. So I have a y there to make up that point. So uh, this parabola is saying of equal distance, meaning the distance from here, from the fixed point, the focus, to where the parabola is, and from there up to where this directrix is, they are of what? Of equal distance. So the distance from here, this line, to that parabola, and the distance from this focus to the parabola are equal. So in short, we are saying distance, if we say from the focus to the parabola, we say that is d. Okay, let's denote it by lowercase, so d1, and we say that that is d2. So we are saying those d1 must be equal to d2. The distances here must be equal. So this is a graphical representation of a parabola. So now let us go directly and dive into an example question before we look at other things. So okay, Right, so let's say we have a focus. So let's say they've given us a focus that is 0 comma 2, a focus 0 comma 2, and then they have given us a line, a directrix, which is negative 2, like this. Then you are told to say find the equation of the parabola. Find the equation of the parabola. So let us sketch this first. So if we are to sketch this, it will look something like this. So they are saying our focus is 0 comma 2. So meaning in the x we are not moving, but in the y we are moving 2 units up. So that will be here. Let's say that is there, and that is 0 comma 2. Then they are saying our directrix is negative 2. So they are like that, negative 2. So okay, that is like that. Then our parabola will just come here where to touch this. Okay, so I forgot to mention to say, okay, from this diagram here which we have, that the midpoint, as we said, so from the directrix to this midpoint is called the vertex. The vertex. So it is the midpoint between this focus and the directrix, that is the vertex. And in this case we are looking at situations where we have the vertex at 0 comma 0. Okay, so you understand further on that the directrix might change and it might not be 0 comma 0, but for now let us consider all cases where it is 0 comma 0. So back to this question. This is our parabola, and we have our directrix down there, and we have our focus. Then we are told to find the equation of this parabola. So how do we do that? So on the parabola we said it's a points x comma y. So what I must find is I must find the distance from there until I reach that point, and from there till I reach the directrix. So how do I do that? I will use distance formula. So I will move from here, from the focus till I reach my point there, and I'll consider these to be x1s and y1, and this to be x2 and y2, like that. Then I'll move from here the directrix to that point on the parabola. Okay, so first let us write the first one. Okay, somebody has their mic on. Can kindly mute. Okay, so how are we going to do that one? So we are using the distance formula, and we know that distance of a line is equal to, so I have my x2 minus x1 squared plus, then I have y2 minus y1 close, and I square. That is what I'm using. So from the first one, I have that my my x2 is what? Is just x. My okay. So okay, let me not move that way. So I'm saying my choose. Okay, so this should be your x1. Yes. Okay, then okay, let's choose this one to be our x1. Let's say we move from here, from this point to the focus, such that we have our x1, these to be our x1s, and this to be our y1. Then we have this to be our y2, okay, and this to be our y2. Okay, like that. So we have that our y2 is 0, then our y1 is x. Actually, even if you swap the other way, it will still work out. Yeah, it will still work out. So like that, squared, then plus, what is my y2? So my y2 is just 2, then minus my y1 is y there. Then you square this, then this is all in the square root. Then this should be equal to, So this should be equal to the distance that I'll get from, so the distance from the directrix here, this directrix line, up to that point there. So I'll say that let these points here where the directrix is be my x1 and y1. So where the directrix is here, my x1 is just what? This same point. If you can see, it's at a point x. So that is my x here. Then y, it's cutting in the y here as we labeled -2. So that is -2 there. So this is my x1 and that is my y1. Then here I'll consider this to be now my x2 and y2. So I would replace that. I'll have x minus x, since they are the same, x minus x, like that. Then I square. Then this will be okay, not equal to, but that should be plus. So plus. Then what is my my y2? So my y2 is just y. My y2 is y. Then minus my y1 is -2. So that will give me a +2, since I'm multiplying the negative by that negative, like that. Then I square. Then this here I put the root just like that. So from here, what am I going to do next? Okay, so from here, what we do is, let's work out what is inside. So here it's 0 minus x, so, and squared there. So I know I'll just have to square the negative x there, which will just give me positive x inside there. So it will be positive x plus, so I can expand this here. I can expand that. So when I expand that, I'll have plus 4 minus 4y, excuse me, plus y squared. And all this is in the square root, like this, in the square root. Then this should be equal to, okay, there I get 0, and there when I expand that, I'll get y squared plus 4y plus 4 and square root there, like that. So let me erase the top part, use this part here. Okay. Okay, so there, what do we get from that step? So from here, what we do is we square both sides to get rid of that root. So I square there, I square that side, then I get rid of that root. Then I'll have x. So this x here, so there's a squared. Remember, it was negative x squared. So the negative 1 times -1 gives me +1. Then I have x squared there. So this is going to be x squared. Then plus 4 minus 4y, then plus y squared is equal to y squared plus 4y plus 4. So from here I can see that so this is the same with this, the additive inverse. When I group them, this will just give me 0, and this also, and that will give me 0. So I'll have x squared. So when I move this negative 4y to the right side, I'll have 4y plus 4y, and this gives me y squared is equal to 8y. So this is the equation of the parabola for these points which were given, to say if we have a focus of 0, 2 and a directrix of -2. So this is how you'd find the equation of that parabola. So now in general, this means that if we have points, or if we have a focus 0, c, so if we have a focus here, so this is our focus. So saying if we have a focus 0, c, like that, and a directrix of y being equal to -c, like that. And I know that we said we are dealing with when the vertex is just 0, 0. So with a vertex, all right, the vertex at 0, 0, like that, So when I have this, the focus as 0 comma c, and the y here, the y equal to negative c is my directrix. So this is directrix being that line there, then with the midpoint or the vertex to be 0 comma 0. Then in general, my equation of the parabola will be x squared being equal to 4cy. So in general, this is the way my equation will appear if I have this. In general, this is the way it will appear, or it should appear. So this will make more sense on the next question which we are going to do. It's going to make much more sense in the next question we do. So the next question that we're doing, so we're being told to describe and sketch the parabola. So describe and sketch the parabola x squared being equal to 12y. So this is the first one we have to sketch, x squared being equal to 12y. So now how are we going to do that? So remember, we said in general x squared equal to 4cy. Okay, so now there are some things that you must know. So when there's x squared here and we have y here, like there's y on the other side, it means that your graph or the parabola will appear in the what? In the y-axis. So this parabola is going to appear in the y-axis. Then if we have y squared this side and then we have x this side, then it's going to appear in the x-axis. So in this case, when we have this case and y is this other side on the right side, then we know that the parabola is going to be in the y-axis. So now let us work out this question that we have. So if this is the general form and I have x squared equal to 12y, so how can I make it look like that on top, the general form? I can factor out. So always you have to factor out the 4. Always you have to factor out the 4. So when you factor out 4 there, then you have what? 3 and then y. So as you can see, this is my c. So I have a c here, and then 3 here is going to be my c. So meaning my focus is going to be 0 comma 3. 0 comma 3. Okay, so because we're dealing with the y, meaning my focus here will be in the y, like that, to move in the y. So this is how it will appear. And my directrix, so in general, when you have this case, your directrix is always going to be y equal to negative c. So here, just the negative of c, so that will give us negative 3, like that. So I have my points there. Then I can sketch this. So sketching will just be okay, like that. Then when I move a step in the what, so it's 0 comma 3. So in the x I'm not moving, but in the y I'm moving. So my focus is here. If I have my focus here, 0 comma 3, like that. Then my parabola is here, of course, because it's at 0 comma 0 for these cases that we have. Okay, let me write that properly. Okay, so alright, so it will be like that. Then your y, your directrix is negative 3. So negative 3 is somewhere there. So you have this line here that will cut like that. You can, doesn't matter, you can dot it or you can write a solid one. So like that, that will be your y equal to negative 3. Y equal to negative 3. That is the directrix. So this is how you sketch such a word, such a question. Okay, now let us sketch another one of the form of similar. So let's say we have x squared equal to negative y, negative 8y. So now how do we do that one? So we have to make it like the general form. Okay, person who's writing on the screen, please can stop writing on my screen. How am I going? Okay, just a moment. All right, thank you. So I'll have so x, we are given this question, x squared equal to that. So what do I do from here? So from here, what you do is you factor out the 4. So when you factor out 4, here you remain with negative 2, and you have y like that. So you always factor out a 4 there. That's because that's the general way of how the parabola must be. And now I can identify my c here is negative 2. That's my c. So meaning my focus is 0, comma, negative 2. And my directrix is y equal to, so since it's negative c, so when I multiply the negative 2 by the negative, then it will give me positive 2, like that. So sketching this, I'll have that so my focus is 0, comma, negative 2. So when I move there down like that, so this is going to be my focus. So my focus is 0, comma, negative 2. Then I have my directrix cutting at 2. So that there being my directrix where it's at 2. So this is y equal to 2. Okay, y equal to 2. Then uh, from here you sketch. So always when you see a negative sign there in front of that value, whatever will be here, if it's negative, meaning that your parabola is opening what, down to the negative axis. So this parabola is going to open down like this. Okay, like that. This is how it will open. Okay, so at this point, are there any questions? At this point, do I have any question? Alright, I guess there is no question. Let us move on. So now, let us look at another case. So, in a case now where we have our focus to be c, comma 0. C, comma 0, and we have our directrix to be x equal to negative c. Then the equation is going to be y squared is equal to 4cx. Okay, this is how it will be. So now, as I said, that if we see x this side, you know that your parabola is opening in the x direction. Yeah. Then, meaning your focus as well has to move in the what, in the x, when the vertex is at 0. So this vertex is still at 0, comma 0. Then your directrix, since it's opening in the y, meaning your directrix has to cut the what, the y axis. That's why the x axis. That's why we have x equal to negative c. Now, if you have a question, let's say you have y squared is equal to 16x. You have this question here. Then you're told to sketch this. So what are you gonna do? So you're going to say y squared is equal to, factor out the 4 there. Then you have 4x. So your c is 4. Your c is 4. Then if your c is 4, then you have that your focus, so your focus has to be in the x. So this will sit here to be the first coordinate, since it's x, comma y, then comma 0. Then I have that my directrix is going to be x equal to negative 4, since we're saying negative of c, so that will be negative 4. So this is going to sit in the x, the parabola will be in the x. So okay, let me write that properly. Okay, so you have this here, you have your x here, and you have your y there. So, and you're told to graph that. So our focus is 4, comma 0. So we move 4 what's this in the x. So let's say 4 is here. So if 4 is there, this will be my f, saying 4 comma 0. Then my directrix is going to cut there. Say so that is negative 4. At that point it's negative 4. So my directrix is x equal to negative 4. Then it is, so I see that what is here, it's positive 16. So it's going to open to the positive side of the x-axis, which is this way. Okay, so you have something like that. Okay, you have something like that. So this is how your graph will appear. And when we have the opposite now, when we have a negative, okay, let's say we have the same question, say y squared is equal to negative 16, okay, negative 16x. We have negative 16x. How are we going to graph that one? So it's going to be the opposite. Let's just erase this graph. Okay, so it means that for this one, when we factor out there, we have y squared equal to, factor out the 4, we have negative 4 there, then x. So my c is negative 4. My c is negative 4. Okay, so then my directrix is going to be positive 4. Since the negative will multiply with a negative, then I get positive 4. So I'll have my graph looking something like this. So it's a negative 4. So my focus, in this case, focus is negative 4 comma 0. So let's say negative 4 comma 0 is somewhere there. Negative 4 comma 0 there. Then I have my 4 this other side. So that is x equal to 4 as my directrix. Then I have that it is negative here. So it is negative 16, meaning it's going to open towards the negative side. So my oasis will look something like this, towards that negative side. So this is what is going to be my parabola as y squared equal to negative 16. Alright. Do you have questions on this one? Okay, thank you. So let us look at now when the vertex changes. So the ones that we are looking at a point where I have the vertex to be 0, 0, 0, 0. Now what if my vertex of this parabola changes to just being so I'll denote it as x naught and y naught, just two coordinates that I have. I just have just any coordinate that I have, x and y there. So what do I do in this case? So when it changes to be like that, so we look at the first case. The first case where you have to graph it in the y. So you have a general form. So in the first place you have a general form of the equation when it moves to being x minus x naught squared being equal to 4. Then I have c y minus y naught. So this is what to become your general form of this equation when the vertex has moved, or when the vertex is not at 0, 0. Then from there your focus point, your focus is going to be, so remember it's here where we have it's in the y. So where the square is, it's x squared this side, then we have the y at the right. So meaning we are moving in the what? In the y. Like the c is in the y. That's what I'm saying. So meaning your x naught, so you add it, your focus will be at x naught. So there it was 0, the first coordinate, because our vertex was 0 there. But now our first point there is x naught. Then you add now your c to the what? The y naught. So in the other case it's 0, and we're adding what? Our c to there. That's why we were just getting 0 comma c, like that. Okay, so this is what will be your focus. Then your directrix will now become, so your directrix will just be y is equal to y naught minus c. Y is equal to y naught minus c. So this is the general form that you will get. This will be the general form of the equation that you will get. So now let us answer a question on this. Let us do a question. Let us have an example. Okay, so our example. Okay, let me. Okay, so our example, we are being given this equation. So we have x squared minus 4y minus 4x, I mean, plus 2y plus 10 is equal to 0. So this is the equation that you have. So remember, we said these conic sections can be represented in that general form of the equation. So now they've given us this equation instead. So what do we have to do? So we have to factorize this equation in such a way that we will have something that will look like the general form of the parabola. So how are we going to do that? So you have x here and minus 4x here. So you can factorize these two here together. So what you do is, so you say your x there, then half of negative 4 is negative 2. Then you square this. Then minus, so minus the square of the half of 4, which is 2, which is 2 squared. So this will be minus 2 squared, like that. So then I have plus y squared plus 10 is equal to 0. So I'm just completing the square on this, completing the square on that. So that will give me x minus 2 squared minus 4. Then I have plus 2y plus 10 equal to 0. Then from here, what I can do is, so I can add this one and that. I can add negative 4 plus 10. Then I have x minus 2 squared. Then that will give me positive 6. So that gives me positive 6. So that will be plus y, 2y plus 6 is equal to 0. Then from here, x minus 2 squared is equal to, so I can move all this. I can move my negative, I can move my positive 2y and my positive 6 the other side. Additive inverse, that gives me negative 2y minus 6. From here, I must then factor out here. So x minus 2y squared is equal to, here I must factor out a 2. I can factor out a 2 there. So a negative 2, in fact. That would be 2, then y plus 3 when I factor out. Then from here now, I have to get that 4. Always have to get that 4. So I have x minus 2 squared being equal to, so when I factor out 4 here, I factor out 4, what do I get? So I'll get negative half. Negative half, because when I multiply this negative half by the 4, it divides and gives me this negative 2. So like that. Then I have y plus 3. So from here I've gotten that general form of the equation, which is x which is x plus or minus some x naught. Okay, let's say plus some x naught then minus, I mean, should be minus. Okay, minus x naught. Then I have squared is equal to 4c, then cy minus some y naught, like that. So this is the general form that, and I see I've gotten to that form. Is there any question of how we've gotten to that point there? Any question there? Okay, there's no question. So let's identify now. So how do I then find my vertex? So I'll find my vertex by equating this part here, this here inside to 0, and equating that there inside to 0. So when I equate that, when I equate x minus 2 to 0, I just get my x being equal to 2. Then when I equate the other side, y plus 3 equal to 0, then I'll just get y is equal to negative 3. Then that will be, my vertex will be 2 comma negative 3. So that is my vertex. Then now my c, what is my c? So I can identify from there that my c is just negative half. So my c is negative half. Then what is my focus? So since y is to our right, since y is to our right, meaning from the vertex there, we are going to add our c to the y coordinate, our c to the y coordinate. So our focus is just going to be, so I'll leave the first part of the vertex, which is 2, then I'll add negative 3, then I'll add negative 2, since my c is negative 2, like that. Then here what I will get is 2 equal, then that will be, when I resolve this to a single fraction, I'll get negative 7 over 2. So that is my focus. Then what is my directrix now? So my directrix is going to be, so my directrix is y equal to, so I said the y coordinate, it's y naught. This y naught we're getting from here, which is from our vertex, then minus c. So my y naught is negative 3 minus my c is negative half. So this becomes positive half. So let me write down here this side. So that just becomes negative 3 plus half. And resolving that, I get negative 5 over 2. That is my directrix. So I've found all the points that I need to sketch this graph. My directrix as negative 5 over 2, then my focus as 2 comma negative 7 over 2, then yeah, that's what I need. And also, since my c is in the negative, my c is in the negative, meaning this graph is going to open towards the negative what direction. It's going to open towards the negative direction. Okay, so it will look something like this. Let me draw it. Okay, so we will have that. Let us first identify your focus. So your focus, we said it's 2. So if 2 is somewhere here, so this is our 2, and negative 3. So let's say negative 3, and negative 3 is somewhere here, like that. So here when it meets there, that is my vertex. So this is where that round thing is going to pass, like round, like that. So in fact, if you want, you can draw it even here like this. Yeah, but let's identify our focus first. So our focus, we said it's 2 comma negative 7 over 2, and that is like 3 point something. So it will be down here under negative 3. So my negative 7 over 2, let's say it's there. So my focus is going to be here. So this is my focus as f is equal to 2 comma negative 7 over 2. Then I have my directrix at negative 5 over 2 divided by 2, and that is like 4 point something. So no, not 4 point something, 2 point something. So that's just above, slightly above negative 3. So somewhere here, negative 2 over 5. That's my directrix. So my directrix, this line, I'll draw a line passing through that point there. Okay, like that. That's my directrix. Then this is my focus, and my vertex is where, of course, my vertex is passing like that. So this will be like that. This is how my parabola is going to appear in this case. So we see that this one, it was shifted. It was shifted. We had our vertex shifted. Now let us look at the last case in which uh, it is shifted, but we are graphing in the x and not in the y. So if you have a general form where you have y minus y naught squared equal to 4c, then x minus x naught, like this. So if this is a general form, then your focus is going to be x naught plus c comma y naught, like that. So since this side to our right, it's in the x, so we are adding our c to the x coordinate. So, and then our vertex, of course, we are saying our vertex is at x naught comma y naught. Then our directrix is going to be, so in terms of x now, saying x, then x naught minus c. So that is how it will look. Okay, so now let us do a question on this one. Okay, so if we have a question, so we've been given a question, y minus 2 squared equal to negative 8x plus 3. So you have this question, you're told to sketch this. So how are you going to sketch that one? So you factor out the 4 there where there is 8. So you factor out 4, you remain with negative 2. And that is your what? That is your c. So negative 2, we've already identified that our c is negative 2. Let's identify our vertex. So our vertex is going to be, so when I equate this part to 0, so x minus 2 equal to 0, I'll just get my, y. This is y. So y minus 2 equal to 0, I'll just get y equal to 2. So my y coordinate here will be 2. Then my x coordinate, so x plus 3 equal to 0, that will just give me, when I take the additive inverse of 3 is negative 3, so I'll get negative 3 there. So that is going to be my vertex. So to get your vertex, equate what is here to 0, equate that is there to 0. Do not get confused to put this first here, this one where it's y minus 2 to be your first coordinate. No, it has y, so it has to be the second coordinate, and this one has to be the one that follows, since, yeah, so your x is this one, so that will be for x, and your y is the other one. Now this is the vertex. Let us look at the focus. So the focus, you're adding now your y naught, which is negative 3, plus c. So that would be negative 3 plus c, and our c is negative 2, so that would be negative 2, like that, comma 2. So our focus is just going to be negative 5, comma 2. Then our directrix is going to be x is equal to x naught. So x naught, what is your x naught there? Your x naught is negative 3. You can see here that's negative 3. Then minus minus your what, your c. So your c is negative 2, so you get that, and that will give you 3 plus 2, and that will give you negative 1. So I have found everything that I need in order to what, to sketch this graph. So let me now sketch. So to sketch, I'll have like that. Okay, so from here, I have the points that I need. Let me first identify where my vertex is. So my vertex is negative 3 comma 2. So let's say my negative 3 is here. It's my negative 3, then 2 comma 2. Let's say my 2 is somewhere here, 2. So this is going to be my vertex. That is my vertex, which is at 2, negative 3, negative 3 comma 2. Then what is my focus? So my focus is negative 5. So let's say negative 5 is here, comma 2. So it will be there. This is going to be my focus. Then, so I already saw in the previous one that my C, okay, if you can see here, my C is negative. So meaning this is opening in the negative x direction. So like that. Then what is my directrix? So my directrix is cutting at negative 1. So let's say negative 1 is here, so it's going to cut there. So this is my directrix. That's my directrix. Then my parabola will cut with, so we'll go through that there, which is my vertex, then it turns like that. So this is how it will look, and this is here, the directrix is x equal to negative 1. So this is how that graph will look. Okay, are there any questions up to this point? Are there any questions up to this point? All right, thank you.